Shall we get into With Love, Meghan? I have got an article as well to read. Obviously, all of the articles that are being written by journalists who had the sort of early preview of the series are all pretty much coming out the same. So I don't really need to read multiple articles to to get the gist of it. And plus, I've seen episode 1 with my own 2 eyes. So the premise was. Matt and I were deciding what we were going to watch for TV. We do it every night. There's a whole load of YouTube videos that we normally watch and catch up on. In fact, we've got a few to catch up on. There's a new series on other channels that we need to start watching. We're quite behind with TV. So we actually go to the fish and chip shop tonight and we get fish and chips. And we come in and Matt says, right, what are we going to watch? And I say, we hold your horses, we need to watch With Love, Meghan. And Matt's face went, I said, no. I said, we've got to watch. I said, I need to watch it to tell people my opinions on it. I said, we don't have to watch the whole series. We just need to watch episode 1 to get the gist of it, to see where everyone, I mean, who knows? We may have enjoyed it. I said to Matt, you know what? We may actually really enjoy this. We may want to be inspired by Californian living and all the rest of it. So he said, okay, we'll watch it. So we watched it while we were having our fish and chips. And I have to say, it's a good job we were doing another activity at the same time as watching With Love, Meghan, because it would have been a completely wasted venture otherwise. It was dreadful. From the moment it opened with that bee, to be honest, the bee was the best part of it. And the honey looked scrumptious. I will give Meghan that. The honey looked absolutely scrumptious, but she didn't make it. She didn't do anything. She really didn't. I mean, she even said she doesn't like baking, yet she was baking. You know, she hasn't made candles before, but yet she was showing us how to make candles. I mean, come on. It was like a more professionally shot random YouTube video. It was just like an influencer that had been kind of upscaled, but it was just so, what's the word I'm looking for? Insincere. It was insincere because we just know that it wasn't her house. She doesn't make any of this stuff normally. All she'd been doing is just going on Google and try to Google. I mean, I think when the promo came out, somebody went online and found something that she'd made, and it was something that was quite easily findable on the internet. Anyway, so let me try and cast my mind back to that. Was it 40-something minutes of displeasure? So we had the honey. The honey looks scrumptious, I have to say. I would have liked the honey. The beekeeper looked absolutely startled at Meghan's grinning. The grinning through the bee net was something to behold, wasn't it? I wish she'd kept the bee net on, to be quite honest. It would have broken up that perma smile a little bit. Then I think we went to in the house that she's renting to do the series. And by the way, gorgeous house. Whoever's home it is, gorgeous. There was a shot towards the end looking out at the hills. In fact, Matt actually said, oh, I bet that's green screened in. And then Meghan said, oh, it's as if it's green screened. So I don't actually know if it was green screened in or not, but it was gorgeous. If that is a real view, the house, whoever owns that house, gorgeous home. But again, I don't know why she didn't use her own house, because she didn't have to have the kids wandering around, did she? She could have, had them had them somewhere else for the show. It would have been more authentic, is what I'm trying to say, if it was in her own home. I mean, she even kind of made this weird comment when her friend came over, her makeup artist. Matt actually commented. He said, has she run out of real celebrity friends? So she's had to get her makeup artist from Suits in. So we both had a bit of a giggle at that one. Now, he was lovely. Matt actually said, the best part of this is the friend, because the friend was quite entertaining, although he was incredibly cack-handed with the knife. He cut himself. And then, by speaking of cutting, when Meghan was cutting the cake, how unsafe was that? That is such a bad demonstration for children. When we were being told at school how to cut things, we were always told to cut away from our fingers. So she should have been cutting, holding the cake there, and then when she was trying to level it off, cutting that way. She was holding it there and cutting towards her fingers. I mean, she laughed at her friend. I mean, he was, to be fair, he was left-handed, and he was, I don't know how he does makeup, to be honest, because he was very cack-handed, as we say in the UK. So I didn't think much of Meghan's cutting technique. I thought that was quite a bad example for children, actually. Um, and then it was really weird because she was showing how to sort of fill the cake with cream and jam, but she didn't actually show how to make the cake that she made. So we don't know whether she made it, whether one of her staff made it. It was quite odd, to be quite honest. And then she kind of, it was all blowing smoke up Meghan's backside. So obviously it'd been orchestrated. She wanted to get across that she was caring, loving, considerate, that she was really great to work with, because there was this kind of scene where he was saying, how good she was to, to work with on Suits, and how caring and thoughtful she is, blah, blah, blah. It was painting her out to be some kind of Mother Teresa. I don't think she had anyone fooled. Let's put it this way. By the way, if you are watching this and you have any comments, I think 2 of you are watching at the moment, so 2 of you are on the right tier. Please leave a comment if I've missed something out that you want me to talk about, because it's all a blur in my head. I actually felt myself nodding off. It was one of those shows, and the music as well. It was all very sort of, I don't know, it reminded me of like Meghan's wedding kind of music choices, kind of. All very odd. I mean, oh, and then also it said at the end of it, on the screen came in association with Archewell. In association, wasn't it supposed to be Archewell Productions that were actually producing it? Archewell Productions couldn't produce a bowl of cereal. What have they produced? Nothing. We all knew, I said ages ago that this was going to be produced by Netflix, and that Archewell was just going to kind of be on it as a rubber stamp, which is exactly what happened. I also predicted, was it my January 2024 prediction video for Harry and Meghan, where I said 2024 was going to be the year of setting themselves up for 2025, and then 2025 was going to be the year where they absolutely failed and got dropped by everything and then were completely finished. I was right. I was absolutely right. Go back to my my prediction video for Harry and Meghan in January 2024, and everything that I said has come true. It really has. So this is the unraveling. 2025 is the unraveling of Harry and Meghan. Netflix are not going to renew. There is not going to be a second series of With Love, Meghan. And then she kind of alluded to the products that she's going to be selling and flogging. And you just think, it's not going to work. I think early viewing figures that came in showed it had like 11% or something, which isn't even good by their own Netflix documentaries. Because I was basing things on, I thought, well, okay, episode 1 is probably going to be quite good because people want to know what it's like. I wanted to watch episode 1 so that I could see how bad it was and then not watch the others. And then I thought, right, well, episode 2, 3, 4, that's going to show the real viewing figures. But episode 1 hasn't even made it up the top at all. It's done worse than what I thought it was going to do. I think the appetite for Meghan has just, it's plummeted. And it's of their own doing. It really is. Everything that they've said and done since, basically, they've cocked it up. They've ballsed up, as we say in the UK, majorly. It's been a PR disaster for them. And I don't think there's any way out of it now. They're just spiraling lower and lower and lower and lower. I don't want to feel that level of negativity. I watched one and that was enough for me. I don't want to watch any of, I don't want to watch more of her friends, her faux friends, fawning over her, trying to put out this propaganda that she's this and she's that, and she's You know, basically Mother Teresa reincarnated. Just no, 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 no. And I'm not even going to go there with the outfits, those shorts. I'm, I'm not. I'm just not even going to go there. I don't want that level of negativity. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to do what wise people say. If you haven't got anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, other than the bare-based truth, and that is that it was just dire. It really was. I think about what could have been if she and Harry had stuck it out in the royal family. Absolutely, there was a whole world of opportunity, even though there were constraints. And, I do agree, probably with what Meghan thought at the time, that there were constraints. She kind of, I think she could see a ceiling. And of course, we know that Meghan, I think it's culture as well. I think when I'm talking culture, I'm talking just American, USA culture in general. I think everyone's kind of taught that there isn't a glass ceiling, and if there is one, you can shatter it all the way through, and you can go as far as your own ambition can take you, blah blah blah. But within the constraints of a constitutional monarchy, there is a ceiling, and it's not even a glass ceiling. It's like it's like a brick ceiling, and there's only so far that you can go because the top is always going to be the sovereign and the sovereign's partner, male or female. And then it goes down the line in order of precedence and importance. And I think when Meghan got into the royal family, she could see that there was this brick ceiling, that she was never going to be able to get any higher than Duchess. But what she didn't see, she needed to change her way of thinking. She needed to change the way that she looked at things, because even though she couldn't go any higher, there was still a world of opportunity. There was still a world of possibility. The roles that Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II had given to Harry and Meghan, especially with the Commonwealth, there was a world of possibility to kind of not go higher, but to go sideways, if you like, to have, a sideways spread and a sideways influence. But of course, they'd always have to do that, never kind of eclipsing those above. And I think that was just something that Meghan could not stomach. She couldn't stomach having to sort of give way for those above. And I think that was the real issue. Plus, also, I don't think there was as much money that Harry had access to as what she thought that he would have access to. And I think she just thought, well, we can make it big in the US. The problem was how they left and what they did after they left. It was just a complete series of disaster moves. Betsy says she had a great role models with Anne and Sophie, and of course the Queen. Absolutely. She didn't have to look very far to actually see how you could gain respect. It's really simple. You just work hard. You just work hard. And this is what, Meghan's With Love Meghan was trying to say. It was trying to say that Meghan's so hardworking and caring and blah blah blah. Well, if she had those qualities, she should have applied them to being a working royal, because she would have found that in the fullness and roundness of time, that there would have been a change, and that she would have been able to have affected some kind of change from within. Even Princess Diana knew that. She knew that she kind of had to be in there to make that change. And of course, the change that Diana made when she was in the royal family has had a lasting impression. Because, through her boys, they do have a more human, a more personal touch. And that has filtered through. We're even seeing King Charles these days, being more touchy-feely than what he was probably before he met Diana. So you have to be in it to be able to affect change. I just felt so betrayed by Harry. Didn't feel betrayed by her. And that really hurt, actually. It was a kick in the teeth. It was a sucker punch for all British people that had supported Harry through thick and thin. Dawn says, I've only seen clips and that's enough for me. Well, I would advise maybe watching episode 1 just to see how terrible it is. But no, honestly, I'm never going to get that time back. It's almost as bad as, do you remember when she narrated the animal documentary for Disney, and it was all, oh, they're having a pool party. It was almost as bad as that. No, I shall not be watching anymore. I want to see the episode where she makes the kids finger sandwiches and edible flowers. Oh Christ, I'm not sifting through all that to find that, but that sounds horrendous. I mean, for goodness sakes, how on earth could she redo making a finger sandwich? I mean, how? How? Critics have written withering reviews of Meghan's Netflix show. I wanted to first of all talk about how surprised I was, considering the reviews, the appalling reviews. I don't think I've actually read a positive review, apart from Bryony Gordon, who obviously has connections to the Sussexes, sort of saying how lovely Meghan was to her, giving her a candle. No, what was it? Candle? No, jam. She gave a jam, and she left it. She left it on a taxi. Anyway, apart from the Sussex supporters, the ardent Sussex supporters that literally blow smoke up their arse every single time, the reviews for With Love Meghan have tanked. They have been absolutely appalling. I spoke about that. So, how surprised was I to find that it had been commissioned or renewed for a second season? Well, as with everything with the Sussexes, it's all about spin. So basically, it turns out that the second season had already been filmed. So there wasn't, you know, basically, if this second season ever does see the light of day, hi Dawn, if the second season does ever see the light of day, it will be because it's already been filmed, not because this season was so well received that, that they've suddenly shot another whole series. I think what happened was Netflix has been hedging their bets, thinking, right, well, this is either going to go one way or the other. It's either going to be really successful and Meghan's going to be considered the next Martha Stewart, or it's going to tank. And I think what they did was, again, Netflix has been damaged limiting for a long time now with Harry and Meghan. They've invested so much into them. It wasn't even Archibald Productions that produced the show. It was in association with Archibald Productions. In other words, they did absolutely nothing. It was all done by Netflix. And I think Netflix were thinking, right, if we want to keep costs down and we want to recoup costs, let's film a second series all in one go. A little bit like how they filmed Wicked, the movie. They filmed parts 1 and part 2 all in one go, so that they don't have to spend money on sort of dismantling and re-erecting the sets in between. So basically, they'd hired the home where Meghan was filming. They got all the crew on site. So basically, they just thought, let's shoot enough to do 2 series. If the series is successful, we'll release it. If not, whatever. But I think all the controversy surrounding Meghan's show, basically, they've got the content, and I just think they've gone, right, okay, let's just say we're going to put it out there. My prediction is that the second series will be released towards the end of this year. I don't think they're going to make anybody wait a full year. Primarily because I don't think anybody is desperate to get a second series of With Love Meghan. 1 episode was enough for me, and I still haven't watched. Ooh, is there something going on? Hang on. Dawn says hi, and she says, so it's got 16 episodes, I assume, and the show wasn't even in that compilation of 2025 shows. I'm not quite sure why Betsy says about the stream starting. Is it not streaming properly? Anyway, I shall continue. So, the show has already been shot. Netflix has got nothing to lose by putting it out. I don't think they're going to string it out into 2026, so my prediction still stands. 2025 is going to be the year where Netflix cuts ties with Meghan. Of course, Meghan is going to be all gushing about being renewed for a second season, but it was already in the can anyway, so hey. It's not based on the success of this series because it's tanked. It's been universally criticised. And then she goes and does the Drew Barrymore, interview thing, And I did see a picture where Drew Barrymore was holding up a picture of Drew herself and Princess Diana, and people are saying that Meghan sort of was angry about that. I don't think Meghan was angry that Drew Barrymore got to meet Diana. I think what she was angry with was the fact that Diana was brought into it, because of course Harry and Meghan have come come in for come in for a lot of criticism about cashing in on their royal connections, and whilst they have been very overt in doing so over the years, they've yeah, there's this thing about obviously trying to cash in on Diana. You know, that's sort of even worse than sort of cashing in on the living royals at the moment. And there was that time when they launched their website when Harry was all about, I'm my mother's son, and they put a picture of Diana on. Well, that was soon taken down because it didn't go down very well. So I think Meghan was quite conscious of the sort of being perceived as trying to use Diana to sell and promote herself. I think she sees a renewed sense of danger in that. And there's been lots of talk about titles, and of course Meghan sort of spectacularly sort of coming out that she doesn't want to be referred to as Meghan Markle. She wants to be Sussex. Now, I did say in a previous video that it's quite correct that she can refer to herself. Oh, hi Betsy, you're back. It is quite correct that Meghan can refer to herself as Sussex. It is a family surname, although it's not the official surname. But either usage is correct. Meghan and Harry can refer to themselves as Sussexes. Harry Sussex, Meghan Sussex, Lilibet Sussex, Archie Sussex. But it's not their actual legal name. If they were going to fill out any sort of paperwork or whatever officially, then they are Mountbatten Windsor. I think on Archie and Lily's birth certificate, it's got kind of both. It's got like a double entry, so they can be known by Sussex, but technically it is Mountbatten Windsor, although the royal house remains just Windsor. It's a little complicated, but you know, Meghan's not wrong on that. She can certainly use Sussex, but the more telling thing was like, why start using it now? And there's been a palace insider that has come out and sort of suggested that perhaps they were actually thinking about future sanctions for Harry and Meghan should they disgrace the royal family even more, or you know, come out and do a similar book. I mean, perhaps this talk has come out ever since. Do you remember it came out that Meghan had been sort of putting the feelers out to see what would happen if there was a divorce book or something of that nature? So I think that the palace has been readying themselves. I think they've been trying to think about sanctions. And I think one of the sanctions they've been thinking about is the ducal title. Basically, all the titles that Harry was given by Her late Majesty when he was getting married. So that includes all the subsidiary titles as well, Dumbarton, all the rest of it. So I think it wouldn't just be Sussex that would go if ever Harry and Meghan were sanctioned. It would be the whole lot. So the palace is getting ready. Now, of course, it would take an act of parliament to remove the ducal titles, although that could be suggested by the king to the government of the day. It would be, you know, fairly unprecedented. I mean, we do have precedents of aristocracy titles being removed, in particular foreign ones, or, you know, for people that have sort of misbehaved during wars, that kind of thing. But in the modern day era, we haven't really had any examples of that. So it is fairly unprecedented in modern day times. But it's not that it couldn't be done, it could be done. So I think they're sort of touting that. And I think that's why Meghan has been so, well, we're Sussex, because, you know, they're sort of using the titles to sort of show how sort of punitive, or, you know, to show how, from Harry and Meghan's side, how, I suppose, vindictive it would be to remove the titles, and in particular to take away their children's surname. You know, how bad of the royal family, how bad of the king, how bad of Prince William to do that. How could they do that to us? How could they take away my name? So that's what I think she's doing. I think she's setting herself up so that if it is taken away, of their own doing. It would only ever be taken away because they put something out there that was unacceptable. I'm sure they've been warned behind the scenes. So she's setting it up. She's setting the scene so that if it is taken away, it can be, oh, woe is me. I'm going to play the victim card. How dare a grandfather take that away from his grandchildren, who he hasn't seen for goodness knows how long. So that's what she's doing. And a lot of people have been asking, well, what would happen if they divorced? What would happen if Harry and Meghan got divorced? Meghan initially would assume the styles and protocol of what a divorced member of the royal family would be. So take, for example, Diana, who became Diana, Princess of Wales, and Sarah Ferguson, who became Sarah, Duchess of York. Meghan would be Princess Henry. Yeah, she wouldn't be Royal Highness, that'd be taken away. She'd be Princess Henry of Wales. She wouldn't be Meghan of Wales or anything of that sort. Very much in the same way that Lady Colin Campbell is still Lady Colin Campbell because she divorced her husband, who was Lord Colin Campbell. So very much in the same way. But I think this is where the confusion happens. If Meghan was to remarry, she would lose all of that and she would be known by Mrs. whatever, Mrs. Meghan, whoever she married. So she would lose that completely. The only reason Lady Colin Campbell has kept her title is because she hasn't, or her divorced style is because she has never remarried. I mean, will we even get series 2? Is my question. They've announced it. They've announced that there is one. If we do get it, I think it will be towards the latter part of this year. I don't think it'll roll over into 2026. If it does, then it really will be the death throw of Meghan's endeavours, and her brand is not going to sell anything. I think it's dead in the water before it even gets floated, shall we say. I mean, there is one role that she could go back to acting. I mean, I hear they're looking for a Hagrid in the new Harry Potter TV series. So I think maybe Hagrid or maybe even Voldemort might be a good role, maybe. What do you think? What roles do you think she should play? Dawn says they'll launch it when other big things come out so it gets lost. Quite possible. That's possibly the plan, to be honest. Who knows? It's not going to do very well. If series 1 or season 1 didn't do very well, then season 2 is definitely not going to do very well, especially if it was shot at the same time as season 1, because they haven't got any opportunity to learn from what went wrong with season 1. Everything went wrong, and then correct it for season 2, if you know what I mean. So they haven't really even got that luxury. The only thing they can do is look at how they edit season 2. For example, season 1 came off incredibly cheesy, so they can try in the edit to make it look less cheesy. Although I don't think that's possible because there's just layers of cheese everywhere. Meghan can play the crying girl in the toilet. Oh, Moaning Myrtle. I'm Moaning Myrtle. Yes, well, I'm sure a lot of people would love to see Meghan stuffed out, banished to the toilets. Yes. No, I think Hagrid. She's got the hair. Yes. Or maybe I know they're making the new Skeletor movie. Not Skeletor movie, the He-Man movie with Skeletor in it. Maybe she could play a character from He-Man. I'm just saying. People are just fed up of Harry and Meghan. They are dead in the water. The only thing that's still left to come to any kind of fruition is the book rights that Archewell Productions bought, or rather, I don't know whether Netflix bought it. Anyway, it was billed to be an Archewell Productions production, They bought the book rights. I forget the name of the book. It sounds really dull and boring, to be quite honest. So I don't know whether or not Netflix will sort of buy it back, or whether or not Netflix owns it anyway. I'm not quite sure how that's set up, but I can see Netflix going alone with that project if they have to go with Harry and Meghan because of the way that the deals were all set up. Then I think that's the last thing that we will see from Harry and Meghan with regards to Netflix. I think that they'll just, put in association with Archwell Productions again, which means that Netflix will have done all the work and that will be it. That will be it. But I don't think Harry and Meghan will get a single penny for it, really, because they've already had, probably the majority of their money. I don't even know if there's a clawback clause in their deal in terms of how much revenue Harry and Meghan made. I don't know whether the deal was attached to productivity. Certainly Spotify, I think, was attached to productivity because the deal was cut short. And then, Harry and Meghan didn't get the full amount that they were rumoured to have got. So, there could be a productivity or even a revenue clause attached to it where if they don't meet certain targets, they don't get that amount of money. I don't know. But, it will not be renewed for a second time. Netflix is not going to want Harry and Meghan for another 5 years. So until next time, mwah to you all, my lovies, and goodbye.